All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right into the future of 420, because in 2026, things are about to get really different. And this whole breakdown comes to us from our friends over at 420.school, so let's get into what they've uncovered.
So what is the big deal, right? Well, in 2026, April 20th lands on a Monday. And just that simple shift in the calendar, that's what turns this holiday from just a single day into a massive 4-day tourism powerhouse that kicks off on Friday, April 17th. And this has created this really fascinating split in how the whole holiday is celebrated now.
We're calling it the High Weekend, and it really represents a massive leap forward in the commercial maturity of the entire industry. As you're going to see, the market has basically split into two totally different models. On one side, you have these huge professional ticketed festivals, and on the other, you've got the rise of these super sophisticated brand-focused release parties. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like on the ground.
Okay, so our first stop is Denver, Colorado. When you think about a massive, truly integrated 420 experience, Denver is still pretty much the gold standard. The entire city basically transforms into a hub for the holiday.
The centerpiece here is the Mile High 420 Festival, right in Civic Center Park. And what's so wild is that this thing used to be a free-for-all protestival. Now, it's a super slick, 21-plus, professionally run event. You gotta have a ticket. It just goes to show you how far the industry has come from its old counterculture roots.
And yeah, this slide right here, it just perfectly breaks down that new business model. For about $25, a general admission ticket gets you in the door. You can see the stages, check out the exhibitors. But for $175, you get the whole VIP treatment. We're talking private bars, front of stage access, the works. It's not just a party anymore. It's this whole tiered experience for consumers.
But here's the thing, it's way more than just one festival. The whole city gets in on the action. I mean, you can go see an absolute legend like Ice Cube at Red Rocks, catch a Rockies game over at Coors Field, or just go hang out at a licensed consumption lounge like Tetro or Cirrus Social Club. It's like a total cultural takeover.
All right, now let's hop over to San Francisco, because wow, the story there could not be more different. It's where we really see the old and new ways of celebrating 420 clashing head-on, and it makes for a fascinating look at how this whole thing is evolving.
This slide really tells the whole story. On one hand, you have the old way of doing things. That giant, unsanctioned meetup at Hippie Hill, well, it's officially dead, canceled. City budget problems, no sponsors. And what's rising from the ashes? SF Spacewalk. It's this series of curated, much more intimate drop parties that are hosted by specific brands. The focus has completely shifted from a huge, chaotic rally to slick, professional brand storytelling.
So, instead of everyone crowding into one spot, the new model makes the whole city the venue. Over the course of a week, you can basically tour different lounges and clubs to check out new product drops from some of the best growers out there. Honestly, it's less like a festival and way more like Fashion Week for the cannabis industry.
And get this, the level of professionalization has gone so far that there's a 22-day art exhibition in a gallery in Soma, and it's all about elevating cannabis packaging. Yep, the Mylar bags themselves, to the level of fine art. That's just a wild symbol of how much the culture itself is being redefined. But hey, this whole evolution, it is not just a West Coast phenomenon. Not at all. Let's take a quick look at how other big cities are carving out their own unique vibes for the High Weekend.
So let's head to the East Coast, to Washington, D.C., and check out the National Cannabis Festival. This event is really one of a kind. It mixes top-tier musicians with some serious political advocacy, all happening right there in the nation's capital. It's basically a party with a political backbone.
And when I say it's big, I mean it is massive. We are talking somewhere between 15,000 and 30,000 people all coming down to the RFK Stadium campus. Hands down, it is the biggest 420 event on the entire East Coast.
Okay, but here's the catch. If you're going to be one of those 30,000 people, you absolutely have to understand DC's very weird, very unique legal setup. It's not at all straightforward like a state like Colorado.
Okay, so here's the deal. In DC, you can gift cannabis to another adult, but you can't actually buy it from a store. Public consumption? Forget about it. It's a huge no-go, especially on the festival grounds. And this is the most important part. Whatever you do, do not wander onto federal land, like the National Mall, with cannabis on you. That's where federal law takes over, and that can get you into some serious trouble. And then if you look down south, Atlanta's Sweetwater 420 Fest shows us yet another way to go mainstream. They did something brilliant. They fused cannabis culture with the hugely popular craft beer industry.
It's created this massive festival that really appeals to a beers and buds kind of crowd. This model totally works, and it brings in a completely different audience than the events you'd see in Denver or DC.
Okay, so after all that, you've decided you're going to travel for the high weekend. Awesome, but you need a game plan. So let's run through the traveler's playbook to make sure your trip is smooth, legal, and just easy.
First things first, you got to understand the purchase limits. Most states have what's called an equivalency system. So what this means is you can't just walk in and buy your daily limit of an ounce of flour and then also grab 8 grams of concentrate. Nope. As you can see here for Colorado, buying 8 grams of concentrate is the same as buying your full ounce of flour for the day. Knowing this is absolutely key to staying on the right side of the law.
All right, this is probably the #1 question on every traveler's mind. What happens at the airport? Here's how it goes down. If TSA finds anything, remember, their main job is looking for bombs and weapons, not your stash. So they don't arrest you. They just call the local police. And what happens next depends completely on the laws of whatever state you're in. At that point, it's a local issue, not a federal one.
And hey, a quick but super important heads up about your hotel. The vast majority of them have really strict no smoking and no vaping rules. If you light up or vape where you're not supposed to, you're looking at a cleaning fee of anywhere from $250 to $500. Seriously. So your best move is to find a place that is specifically 420 friendly if you plan to consume in your room.
You know, when you boil it all down, this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. From Denver's mega festivals to San Francisco's high-end brand parties, 420 has absolutely arrived. It's not a niche subculture thing anymore. It's a major driver of the spring tourism season. And all of this brings us to one last really big question. This whole professional shift, it brings in money, it brings safety, it brings some incredible experiences. But as 420 becomes big business, what does that really mean for the spirit of advocacy and the community that started this whole thing in the first place? It's definitely the big thing to watch as this holiday keeps changing. Thanks for diving into this explainer with us.